Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 4, and today we're taking a look at the 2012 Cadillac Escalade ESV. Now this is part of the third generation that was produced between January 2006 and 2014, and it's a full-size luxury SUV and was Cadillac's first major entry into the SUV market. But despite being dubbed a luxury SUV, there's very little of either going for this car. Now granted, it does have all-wheel drive and a reasonable amount of ground clearance, and in terms of being full size, well, it's got 6 seats, 2 in the middle, 2 in the front and 2 at the back, and a decent sized boot. But considering the fact that this is 18.5 feet long, or nearly 5.7 meters long, the fact that it's only conceding 6 is really rather pathetic. There's far smaller cars in Europe or elsewhere that can at least seat 7, and considering this could easily have 2 free rows of seats in the middle and at the back, then there's easily enough space in there to seat at least 8 people. And in terms of being an SUV, well, like I said, it does have all-wheel drive and a decent amount of ground clearance, but it's not got any of the kind of stuff you'd expect to see on a Land Rover. It's not got no low-range gearbox. It's got no hill descent. It's got no, it's not, the all-wheel drive system doesn't change between the wheels depending on what's got the most grip or anything like that. It's just bare-bone all-wheel drive and a little bit of ground clearance. So not what I'd call an SUV. And in terms of the luxury, well, it looks decent enough inside, but I can guarantee if you ever touched any of the parts in this car, then it would be cheap plastic and not very well put together, like a lot of early 2010s American cars were. Now, I'm not ragging on this because it's an American car by any means, because the Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT is easily one of my favourite SUVs, but this pales in comparison, and even more so when you start looking at it in terms of performance. Now, it's got a decent sized engine, 6.2 litres of in a V8 form, with 404 horsepower and 416 pounds-feet of torque. Now, on its own, that sounds like a fairly decent amount of power for my sizable engine, but when you take into consideration it weighs 5,982 pounds, and that is nowhere near enough horsepower. A Grand Cherokee SRT has more horsepower, more torque, and a significant amount less weight as well. But it does have, it is an all-aluminium engine with variable valve timing, so it's got a little bit of technology to it, but still you struggle to get up to 20 miles per gallon in this car because it is such a large engine and it's dealing with a hell of a lot of weight, and it's hardly an aerodynamic vehicle as well because it's really rather quite square. And talking about aerodynamics, it's far from the best looking SUV out there. Granted, it's no worse than say a Porsche Cayenne or a Macan, but it's hardly as good as a Grand Cherokee or a Range Rover. So there's very little in terms of looks or performance going for this vehicle. Yes, you can seat one more person than a standard kind of saloon or hot hatchback, but compared to other SUVs or even minivans or people carriers, you're certain to find more space in vehicles like that. But nonetheless, let's get out onto the open road and see just what this car can do. So as you'd expect with all-wheel drive and a mild amount of ground clearance, this can deal with the barest, most simplest amounts of off-road elements. But outside of that, you'd struggle to really get it over any real tough terrain, kind of tough terrain a Porsche Cayenne or Range Rover will be able to deal with. And because it does weigh such a huge amount while having very little in the way of horsepower, acceleration is really rather dreary as well. 0 to 60 in 7.5 seconds, 0 to 120.5 seconds, and it'll go into a top speed of 143 miles an hour. And on top of that, it's not a nice sounding engine, it's really quite a drone, so I'll just let you listen to that for a little bit. It's hardly an exciting sounding engine. And in terms of handling and braking, it's really rather poor as well. There's very little feel to the steering, braking wise, because it does have a lot of wait to stop. It's not very effective, and yeah, it's just not fun at all to drive. Now granted, there are SUVs out there on this game that aren't fun to drive as well, but they at least have other elements to go for it, whereas this really only has interior space going for it in terms of a plus point, whereas everything else is really rather lacking. And yeah, there are just far more fun SUVs out there going for it. Yeah, if you want a luxury vehicle that's an SUV, then what's wrong with a Range Rover? It might cost a fair bit, but you get a hell of a good interior on that car. You get good looks, you're going to get the reliability, you're going to get, you know, the off-road capability, and yeah, it's got a really good engine going for it as well. Granted, you can't sit as many people in a Range Rover, you can only sit 5, but yeah, one extra person really isn't worth this vehicle over an SUV that's better in every other area than over this, than just, you know, in terms of interior space. So yeah, really not a fan of this car. It's really one of those ones that I really don't see the point of being on in the game, because yeah, I don't see how anyone can enjoy this, but it's on the game, it has a bit of variety, and maybe there is some people out there that enjoy driving this car. I can imagine it's fun if you upgrade it, but outside of that, yes, even me being someone that loves driving cars on this game in stock form, yeah, I'm struggling to find any real reason to want to drive this car, because yeah, there's really not much going for it whatsoever. So yeah, not an amazing vehicle by any means. I do hope that Cadillac improve upon this with the 5th generation that should be revealed at some point this year or next year. As yeah, this is a massive disappointment, especially considering I have enjoyed several Cadillacs of recent. The ATSV, the CTSV are both cracking, and I do like some older Cadillacs, but this is just really rather a poor effort, quite frankly. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.